Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over how to get involved in mixed martial arts. This video is brought to you by Doghouse MMA and Fitness in Branson, Missouri. If you live in the Branson area and you're looking for a martial arts home, I would highly recommend going to train with Marco Hutch over there. We're going to be talking with him today and you'll get to hear a little bit of his background. And they are a growing gym. They're pretty new, and every week they're growing and growing. The equipment's getting better. They've got classes for all ages and women's self-defense classes. The gym itself is getting updated and upgraded, and the culture in there is all around the type of guys you want to train with, especially if you're just getting into the sport. Right now they've got the perfect amount of mat space. They've got a full gym with weights and exercise equipment, a full body massage chair, a shower you can use if you're coming after work, and the lounge and kitchen area is currently under construction. A lot of people are kind of nervous about getting into hand-to-hand combat sports. Everyone understands it's an aggressive sport, it's a violence-based sport, right? So that has a lot of people nervous about how they'll perform and getting injured. I personally have spent a total of 10 years of my life in some kind of martial art, starting from American Open style karate when I was 6 years old. That's where these little trophies come from. And then moving into Kajukembo, Kempo, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then I did that until I didn't have time for it and took like 10 years off. So now I'm 29 and I'm back in it. I'm like a few months in, maybe 5 or 6 months in since returning to the mats. So, you know, gotta wipe the dust off a little bit and get back in action. But I'm a blue belt, no stripe blue belt. So I'm a blue belt and my belt is still not raggedy. You know, if you know anything about BJJ, there's a big difference between a blue belt who just got his blue belt and a blue belt who's got 4 stripes on it, you know. And I'm just gonna show you guys how to get involved, how to find a gym, what to expect when you go to a gym, the kind of culture that's in there, and kind of get over a lot of the preconceived notions that make people nervous about getting into martial arts. Martial arts is so much more than just learning how to fight. It's discipline, it's exercise. It's extremely beneficial to a wide array of areas in human life. Now, when you get into martial arts and you start looking around for a gym, there's one thing to remember is some schools are teaching orthodox martial arts and some schools are training cage fighters. There's a big difference in the two. I spent 6 years doing American Open style karate. You're always in a gi and a belt and no groundwork, very little groundwork, I guess you could say. But it's mostly striking and basic self-defense. And then if you get into, you say cage fighting, but cage fighting is really just a specific sport within mixed martial arts. There are gyms where you're in a gi and you're ranking up in just one art. For example, like when I went to my old gym, we ranked in Kajukembo. And so we were belting up in Kajukembo, but every Wednesday and Thursday, it was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu night. So I did 4 years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and never belted up, never even got a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I was ranking up in Kajukembo. So some gyms are like that. And then the more modern gym, you'll see a lot of these days, it's more like cage fighting oriented. So you'll probably have 1 or 2 nights where you wear a gi for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but most of the other nights you're in, you know, shorts and rash guards or a t-shirt, and you're training striking and groundwork both, and it's just a different style. It's a different pace. The Orthodox Martial Arts School have a ton to offer as far as self-discipline and understanding martial arts in theory and in practice. The Mr. Miyagi stuff, you know, a lot of people think it's the boring stuff, but it actually is the fundamental foundation that you need to build on. Not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it. So I always recommend doing some kind of orthodox style school, getting involved with some kind of orthodox style school right out the gates. So you can kind of feel what it's like to line up in a gi and stand there and go through repetitions, you know, and learning katas and all that stuff. It benefits you later on. And then if that's not what you're into and you want to get straight into practical hand-to-hand combat, the kind you'd run into in an altercation in real life, you know, that's these newer gyms where they are mostly in t-shirts and shorts or rash guards, and they're doing striking and then BJJ one night. They've got a wide array of things. I mean, they'll throw in a little bit of judo here and there. You'll get like guest instructors that'll come. We had the Pan Am champion come do some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu work with us one time at my gym. So there's a ton of martial arts out there to choose from. The big ones, you can get karate and taekwondo. Those are more orthodox oriented. Hapkido. You don't see a ton of gyms like that around here, but I know it's out there. Aikido, judo gyms, a lot more orthodox. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you go to just a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, that it's kind of like an orthodox gym. A lot of it just depends on the culture of the gym, you know. I'm definitely not a cage fighter. I'm a contractor, and I'm just into staying fit and developing hand-to-hand combat skills for when or if you ever need them. I actually think that's like the baseline of manhood. You don't have to overthink it or be expecting some kind of attack. It's just a good thing to stay in shape and, you know, stay deadly. And just like I'm not training to become a cage fighter when I go to MMA, I'm not training to be a champion speed shooter when I go to speed shooting matches, you know? You can train in this kind of stuff without making it your entire life. I'm a father and a business owner, and I've got 2 little girls that need to look at me and see nothing short of a badass. And I'm not there yet, but I am trying to get there. And what you've got to do if you want to be a badass dad, you got to stay fit, you got to stay deadly, you got to stay well read, and you've got to bring home the bacon. And that's my responsibility, not my choice. So we're gonna grab our gear and get ready to go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tonight. Tomorrow's kickboxing, but we're gonna be rocking the gi tonight, and then the following night is no gi Jiu-Jitsu, which is like a whole different sport. So we'll get into that later. But right now, we're just gonna focus on finding a gym and having the confidence and knowing what to expect so that you're comfortable just walking in there solo, saying, I don't know anything, please teach me. That's the formula to any of this stuff. If you want help from the guys that are good at it, I don't know anything, please teach me. That's gotta be the dynamic. So this is my gym bag setup. It's a 511 Rush 72 bag. I really like it because you can just stuff the gi in this front pouch here, and then they just unbuckle and it comes right out. I've got my rash guards under it too, my belt tucked in there. And the thing about gis is that you really do not want to be putting it in an enclosed bag and like zipping it in there, because then it gets nasty. So this like exterior pouch here is really great. See that embroidery on the back of my gi there? I had to earn that with blood, sweat, and tears. Just kidding, that's just the brand. It's called Venom. Pretty affordable gis. So the downside about being the only gun guy at an MMA gym is nobody knows just how gangster I really am for this patch. In fact, they just think I'm kind of weird for it. A tactical vampire? What the heck? So if you unbuckle this front pouch, all that opens up. You're gonna want some little short shorts. I got America themed rash guards, just a long sleeve stretchy shirt basically. And then in your main pouch here, this is where you can put your heavier gloves and your shin guards. In the sides here, you can fit some standard 6-ounce gloves. So this bag works really well. I put one glove there, one glove there, shin guards and heavy gloves there, crash guard, gi, and it all buttons up real nice. And at the end of the night, when all my gear's out and I'm exhausted and I just want to get out of there, I can leave everything open, don't have to zip anything. It's a lot easier with 2 hands, and then I can just buckle the front pouch right on. And then I can just grab my stuff and go and get home so I can pass out. Also, you're gonna wanna bring a mouth guard. You can get one on Amazon, they're cheap. And even if you're just doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, there's no striking in BJJ, but you can still catch an elbow or an ankle and knock a tooth out, and that's no fun. Then a couple other things I've got up front. Anaconda Fightwear knee braces. They are freaking awesome. Big fan of them. And then I've got like another knee brace and a jock strap and a cup. So that's about all you really need. You can get it all on Amazon. It's not super expensive. And you don't need everything here to get involved. All you need are shorts and a t-shirt and the attitude to show up and learn something new and put forth effort. All right, so we're sitting here with Marco Hutch. He's the owner of Doghouse MMA.
Please welcome to the Shamrock Cage, Marco Hutch.
In the fight where he had an 8-second KO. That has to be a scary situation for him. He seems very calm.
For his long arm.
Oh my God!
Burch is fighting for that takedown.
So I'm a professional MMA fighter, 6'5", ranked number 2, light heavyweight in Missouri and Kansas. Had a long amateur career, 12-1 amateur, 3 middleweight championship holder. I was ranked number 1 in my amateur career too. Fought LFA, RFA, Bellator, and currently fighting in Synergy now. So
tell us a little bit about how long you've been practicing martial arts and how long you've been instructing.
So I've been training in martial arts for about 17 years or so, and instructing anywhere from, I say, seriously about 4 years with the open, like running the gym, coaching full time. But I say in the last 8 to 10 years, you know, I've been helping fighters along the way and just like pouring into, you know, up and coming martial artists. So,
heck yeah,
yep.
That's awesome. What do you think is your favorite to train in? Not necessarily what the most effective one is in your opinion, but what's your favorite one to train in?
I would say my favorite style, it's a toss-up. I like them all. Like boxing, wrestling. You know, I've been definitely dabbling a lot with boxing lately. And that's how, like, I started off with wrestling and kickboxing, and then you know, I fell in love with you know, traditional boxing too, just the slip in and movement. But I'll say if I could pick one, I'll say probably boxing.
Boxing?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
So if you could say one thing to a guy that's never been in a dojo, never been in a gym before, and he's looking to get involved, what's one thing you would tell him getting started?
I would say walk in with a good attitude, ready to learn, and always ask questions. And if you just keep going, you'll get better.
Yep. It's all about that attitude and commitment and you know, repetition.
Yep.
Staying dedicated to it. It's not something you can dabble in, leave, dabble in. If you want to stay sharp in it, you have to remain consistent.
Consistency is key, you know.
Yes, sir.
It is key.
And the last question for you, if you could tell your white belt self one thing from where you are now, what would you turn around and tell your white belt self?
I would say trust the process all times. Like we touched on earlier, consistency is key, so stay consistent. You know, there's gonna be good days, there's gonna be bad days, but if you look at it more so of if I learn something new that's a win for me, that's gonna get you further than the guy that's, you know, riding a 5-0 record, you know.
Right.
So just keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other. Be the guy that does not go away.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Remain consistent.
Yeah. Then you can't be denied. You know what I'm saying? If you're that guy that won't go away, you get your ass kicked a little bit here and there, you just keep coming back.
Yeah.
You know, be that guy.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna get readied up and get ready for class tonight and put in some work. So
Let's go.
here we go.
We're gonna go get changed out, get ready for class, stretch a little so you don't pull something. Martial arts after you're 25, gotta be careful. One thing about training in martial arts and training in gunfighting have in common is that everyone kind of thinks that once you start getting good at it, you start carrying yourself like you're the deadliest in the room, you know, that kind of vibe. It couldn't be further from the truth, and the mixed martial arts guys can really relate to this, all the brown and black belts. All they've really gathered from martial arts is that anyone that you've run into at the grocery store could be incredibly deadly. So carry yourself accordingly. You don't know who's a black belt. You don't know who's a grandmaster shooter, you know. So if anything, it really humbles you the better you get. And it's fun showing up to gyms and picking on some 18-year-old white belts. You know, everyone likes doing that. Every once in a while, we got to. But I tell you, sometimes you show up and you'll get your ass handed to you by some 50-year-old dentist. You ever been put in a banana split by somebody's accountant? It'll change your perspective. All right, we might as well get this part over with. This is a tactical bathrobe, or as the Chinese call it, a gi. But it's traditionally what is worn in karate, taekwondo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo. A lot of old school orthodox schools still run gis, and I enjoy training in a gi. Brazilian jiu-jitsu in a gi is a whole different sport than Brazilian jiu-jitsu in no gi. So I train in both, but tonight's gi night and I'm here for it and I enjoy it. So now it's time for me to go get my ass beat in the name of pursuing excellence. So here we go. So one thing to keep in mind about all MMA gyms, regardless of the culture at each gym, is that everyone is particular about hygiene, and rightfully so. You know, you're out there sweating with other grown men, just keep yourself clean. And if you're in the trades, I recommend finding a gym that has a shower in the gym. That definitely comes in handy. If you've got dirt and concrete dust or whatever, drywall dust all over you, you don't want to go roll the mats covered in shit. So hygiene's a big deal. Keep yourself clean. And if you work a dirty job, keep another change of clothes or make sure there's a shower.
So every class, no matter where you go and what style, is going to start out with stretches and warm-ups. And then after that, you'll usually transition into drills and then into whatever they're teaching for the day. This was a smaller Tuesday night class. A couple guys forgot their gis, and we had a couple of newer guys that haven't got their gis yet. But everyone just kind of practices, and half of the skill is being able to do this stuff in a safe way. And ask questions. You know, that was me asking the instructor for some clarity on this chokehold we were drilling. So knowing how to practice and not get hurt, both when you're doing the submissions and just throwing each other around, that's a huge part of it. And then towards the end of the night, you can pair up with someone or get paired up with someone, and you guys will roll for a while. It's the equivalent to sparring, but in jiu-jitsu. And you're just putting in action what you've been training with. And again, doing it safely is a huge part of the skill. You go out there and start wrist locking people, choking people out, and doing stuff you saw on Instagram without actually knowing how to execute it properly, you'll hurt someone.
So this is about what you want to feel like after a night of mixed martial arts. Gi jiu-jitsu absolutely takes it out of me. You're wrapped in a friggin' bathrobe. It's like 85 degrees on those mats. And it'll take it out of you, but it's great conditioning, because if you ever have to utilize any of those skills and you're not in a gi, it feels way easier. So, all that to say, get involved with mixed martial arts. It doesn't even have to be mixed martial arts, just any martial art. Get involved, work on turning yourself into a fighter, not to fight as a career, but be able to fight, right? Warrior in the garden, gardener in a war thing, you guys get it.
Another cool thing about martial arts is that you can have one of two attitudes about it and still have a good time. You can walk in there with a competitive attitude and still be a good sport. You're not interested in finding a standard that you feel is achievable. You want to find a standard that is the standard, or at least whatever's best that you have access to. Another method is to go in with the attitude with, I'm here to compete with nobody except the man I was yesterday. I highly encourage that as well. Especially if you're on some kind of a weight loss journey. That's the attitude you want to have, because you got to understand that those baby steps add up. And the only way you can really recognize that is if you're comparing yourself to yesterday rather than the fittest guy at the dojo. You know what I mean? So you've got to have a little bit of a grip on reality if you're going to tackle this with one of those two attitudes. You know, you got to realize, like, am I here to compete and chase a high standard and do I want to be a high tier performer, or do I want to focus on just beating who I was yesterday and then getting to a certain level and then competing from there? Now, either way, we're talking about being competitive, not necessarily competing in like a tournament setting, right? I haven't entered a tournament since I was like 11 years old, 12 years old. I've got a family. I got a small homestead. You know, I'm shooting on the weekends, building guns, running a small business. I'm super busy, and you know, we all are. That's reality. And you're not expected to show up 5 nights a week as a grown adult. You know what I mean? We aren't 15 anymore getting dropped off by our mom at karate class. You know, like, you got to drive yourself there. Everyone understands you're getting off work and then you're pushing yourself further. And so don't feel like you've got to attend every single night in order to join. And be upfront with the coach, you know, go in there. He might call himself Sifu, Sensei, whatever he goes by, and just tell him, hey man, you know, this is my schedule. Are you okay with me joining this gym if I come 1 or 2 nights a week? Most of them are going to say yes. I think the only grown adult that can actually train 5 nights a week are guys that are trying to do it at a professional level, or the guys running the gym. You know what I mean? So we're all adults. We're all, this is extracurricular for the vast majority of us. So it's not something you got to commit everything to, but you do have to commit to it. Something that kind of helps me is that the monthly tuition is the same no matter how much you show up. So if you really want to get the most bang for your buck, show up for class. You know what I mean? Go to the late night classes, get off work, go home, spend time with your family, and then drive to the gym. That's what it's all about. You know, you got to schedule your life like that, especially if you're a father. And if you don't have a wife and kids, dude, then you've got no excuse. You know what I mean? It gets harder the more responsibilities you have, but such is life.